I was never one to believe in witches or magic, but what I witnessed that night changed everything. It began on a chilly October evening, when curiosity led me down a path I should have never walked. My friend Mike had dared me to explore the Old Hollow Woods, a dense forest on the outskirts of town shrouded in mystery and superstition. Rumors swirled for decades about strange lights, unexplainable sounds, and shadows that danced without a source. But the most chilling tales spoke of a coven, a secret gathering of witches who performed rituals under the full moon. Foolishly, I accepted the dare, convinced it would be nothing more than an eerie adventure. I set out just before midnight, armed with only a flashlight and my phone. The moon hung low, casting pale light through the skeletal branches above. The forest seemed alive, the wind whispering secrets I wasn't meant to hear. As I walked deeper, the air grew colder, heavier. The flashlight flickered, its beam barely piercing the thick darkness. My footsteps crunched against the brittle leaves, but I began to notice something strange, other footsteps, faint and deliberate, echoing mine. I stopped, and so did they. "Hello?" My voice barely carried in the oppressive silence. No answer. Suddenly, a distant glow flickered through the trees. It was faint but unmistakable, a circle of firelight. My pulse quickened. Against every instinct, I crept closer, careful to keep my steps silent. The trees thinned, and I crouched behind a fallen log, peering into the clearing. What I saw made my blood run cold. The clearing was illuminated by torches, their flames crackling against the still night. A group of figures, cloaked in black robes, formed a circle around a stone altar. They chanted in a language I couldn't recognize, harsh, guttural sounds that made the hairs on my arms stand on end. At the center of the altar lay an object draped in cloth, writhing as if alive. The figures raised their arms in unison, and the chanting grew louder, more fervent. I could feel the vibration of their voices in my chest, an unnatural resonance that seemed to twist the air itself. My breath hitched as one of the figures stepped forward, lowering their hood. It was a woman, her face gaunt and pale, eyes black as coal. She carried a knife, its blade glinting in the firelight, and began to circle the altar, her steps deliberate and ritualistic. I should have run. Every fiber of my being screamed for me to get up and bolt, but I was frozen, hypnotized by the surreal scene unfolding before me. The chanting stopped abruptly, plunging the clearing into a chilling silence. The leader raised the knife high, and the writhing bundle on the altar stilled. I strained my eyes to see, my heart pounding. It wasn't an object under the cloth, it was a child. I gasped, too loud to be mistaken for the rustling wind. Heads snapped in my direction, black hoods swiveling like predators zeroing in on prey. My heart raced as the leader pointed the knife toward me, her lips curling into a sinister smile. "Bring the intruder," she hissed. Panic surged through me as the figures moved with unnatural speed, gliding rather than running. I stumbled backward, tripping over roots and fallen branches. My flashlight clattered to the ground, the beam sputtering out. Darkness engulfed me as I scrambled to my feet, tearing through the woods blindly. Their footsteps were everywhere, behind me, to my left, to my right. The forest seemed to close in, the trees warping and twisting as if alive. I could hear their whispers now, low and mocking, echoing in my ears no matter how far I ran. Finally, I broke through the trees and onto the dirt road that led back to town. My chest heaved, my lungs burning with every breath. I glanced back, expecting to see the cloaked figures emerging from the woods, but there was nothing. Relief flooded me as I stumbled toward the faint glow of streetlights in the distance. I was safe, or so I thought. The next day, I woke with a start, my body drenched in sweat. My dreams had been filled with haunting images of the ritual, the knife, the leader's black eyes. As I got out of bed, I noticed something strange, a faint mark on my wrist, a symbol I didn't recognize, burned into my skin. I spent hours scouring the internet for answers, but every search led to dead ends. The mark seemed to shift under the light, pulsating faintly as if alive. And then the whispers began. At first, they were faint, barely audible, a low murmur in the quiet of the night. But as the days passed, they grew louder, more insistent. They called my name, beckoning me back to the woods. By the end of the week, I couldn't take it anymore. Sleep was impossible, the whispers relentless. I knew what I had to do, even though the thought terrified me. I had to return to the clearing. Armed with nothing but a knife and a desperate resolve, I made my way back to the hollow woods. The journey felt longer this time, the forest darker and more foreboding. The mark on my wrist burned, guiding me like a beacon. Then I reached the clearing, it was empty. The altar stood cold and abandoned, the torches extinguished. But the air was thick with an unnatural energy, as if the clearing itself was alive and waiting. The whispers reached a crescendo, filling my head with their maddening chorus. And then, they stopped. I felt a presence behind me, cold, suffocating. Slowly, I turned. The leader stood there, her black eyes piercing into mine. She smiled, the same sinister curve of her lips that haunted my dreams. "You shouldn't have come back," she said. I didn't have time to scream. That night changed me forever. When I woke, I was back in my bed, the mark on my wrist gone. But I wasn't alone. Even now, as I write this, I can feel her eyes on me, watching from the shadows. The whispers have started again, louder this time. They won't stop until I return to the woods. But this time, I know I won't make it out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button, it really helps us out. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Tap the bell to stay notified whenever we post a new video. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.